In a galaxy ruled by corporations and haunted by ancient alien forces, one special agent uncovers a virus that doesn't just hijack machines. It rewrites the future of humanity. Her name is Elara Voss, and this is how war began. Chapter 1, Crimson Sky Plane. The sky over Clintar, 7 burned a vicious red, like a wound that wouldn't clot. Dust storms howled across the barren plains, spitting shards of iron oxide that stung like needles against Elara Voss's visor. The air reeked of sulfur and scorched metal, a reminder that this rock was still fighting its transformation into something humans could call home. Elara, a special agent with the Interplanetary Investigation Bureau, IPIB, stood before a hulking terraforming station, its steel frame groaning under the planet's relentless winds. Her HUD flickered with data, oxygen levels spiking, temperature swings that could boil blood or freeze it solid. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Great, Elara muttered, her voice muffled by the helmet's comms. If this planet wants to kill me, it could at least buy me a drink first. Born in the sprawl of a Latin American megacity on Earth, Elara had clawed her way into the IPIB through sheer grit and a knack for sniffing out lies. Her dark eyes, sharp as obsidian, scanned the station's control panel. The terraforming system was supposed to stabilize Clintar, 7 for millions of Earth's refugees. But the numbers didn't add up. Oxygen surges, carbon dioxide dips, storms that shouldn't exist. This wasn't a glitch, it was sabotage. Her comms crackled, and the voice of her commander, Amara Okoye, cut through the static. Amara, a Nigerian-born veteran with a no-nonsense edge, had been Elara's mentor since her first day at the IPIB. Voss, report. What's the status on Clintar, 7? Station's throwing a tantrum, Elara replied, tapping the panel. Readings are all over the place. I'm picking up traces of a bioengineered signature in the system. Some kind of virus. Amara's voice tightened. A virus? That's not possible. Terraformers are locked down tighter than a corporate vault. Yeah, well, some of it got to tell the bad guys, Elara said, her fingers flying over the panel. She isolated a fragment of code buried in the system's core, a string of data that pulsed like a heartbeat. It wasn't standard tech. It was alive, or close enough to make her skin crawl. I'm sending you the data now. Looks like someone's playing God with the atmosphere. The comms went silent for a moment, then Amara's voice returned, low and urgent. Elara, be careful. If this is what I think it is, you're stepping into the territory of the Grey Network. Elara's stomach twisted. The Grey Network was a ghost story in the IPIB, a shadowy syndicate rumored to control black market tech across the galaxy. They didn't just break laws, they rewrote them to suit their needs. If they were behind this, Clintar 7 wasn't just a failed colony. It was a chessboard and Elara was a pawn. Got a lead, Elara said, pulling up an encrypted transmission she'd intercepted earlier. It pointed to a dive bar in the slums of Clintar 7's orbital station, a cesspool of smugglers and mercenaries. Some lowlife named Zykov's been moving coded data. I'm heading there now. Negative. Amara snapped. Wait for backup. If the Grey Network's involved, you're walking into a trap. Elara smirked, though no one could see it. Backup's 3 days out, boss. This planet's falling apart faster than my last date. I'm going in. Elara... The comms cut off as Elara switched to silent mode, her boots crunching against the crimson dirt. She climbed into her skiff, a sleek single-pilot craft that hummed with barely contained power. As the engines roared to life, the terraforming station behind her let out a mechanical scream, and a fresh storm erupted, swallowing the horizon in a wall of red dust. Elara gunned the throttle, her heart pounding. Whatever was happening on Clintar 7, it was bigger than a single planet, and she was about to kick the hornet's nest. Chapter 2, Beneath Neon Shadows. The orbital station above Clintar 7 was a labyrinth of rust and neon, a floating slum where the galaxy's rejects came to drown their sins. Elara Voss stepped off her skiff into a narrow alley, the air thick with a stench of recycled oxygen and cheap synth liquor. Holographic signs flickered in a dozen languages: Spanish, Mandarin, Swahili, advertising everything from black market implants to zero-G brothels. The station hummed with desperation, a place where dreams went to die and deals were sealed in blood. Elara adjusted her jacket, a worn leather number that hid her plasma pistol and a micro-tracker the size of a grain of sand. Her HUD pinged with the location of her target. A dive bar called the Rusty Nebula, tucked in the station's underbelly. Zykov, the lowlife she was after, was a tech smuggler with a rap sheet longer than a Martian winter. If anyone knew about the Gray Network's virus, it was him. Inside, the bar was a haze of violet light and bass-heavy music that rattled Elara's bones. Patrons, miners, mercenaries, and a few cyber-augmented drifters huddled over glowing drinks, their eyes avoiding hers. She spotted Zykov at a corner booth, his pale Eastern European features lit by the emerald glow of his drink. His smile was a blade, sharp and cold, and his augmetic eye glinted like a predator's. Special Agent Voss, Zykov drawled, not looking up. IPIB must be desperate to send you to the shithole. Elara slid into the booth, her hand resting near her pistol. You're not exactly the VIP I'd pick for a Friday night. Zykov. Talk. What's the Gray Network doing with Clintar 7's terraformers? He chuckled, swirling his drink, straight to the point. I like that. But you're fishing in waters too deep for your little badge. His augmetic eye word, scanning her. The Gray Network isn't just playing with the weather, darling. They're auctioning off paradise. Whoever pays the most gets the green zones. The rest? They choke in the dust. Elara's jaw tightened. So that was the game, rigging the planet's climate to create premium real estate while leaving the poor to rot in irradiated wastelands. And the virus? She pressed. What's it do? Zykov leaned closer, his voice a conspiratorial whisper. It's not just code, Voss. It's alive. It thinks. And it's already spread beyond Clintar 7. You think you can stop it? You'll be dead before you get close. She didn't flinch, though her pulse quickened with a flick of her wrist. She activated the micro-tracker, slipping it onto the edge of Zykov's datapad while he rambled. Big talk for a guy who smells like cheap booze and regret, she said, smirking. Who's pulling your strings? Zykov's smile vanished. You're asking questions that get people to race. Walk away, Voss, or you won't walk at all. Before she could reply, a low rumble shook the bar. Glasses shattered, and the neon lights flickered as a shockwave rippled through the station. Elara dove under the table as a plasma grenade detonated near the entrance, filling the air with screams and smoke. Zykov was gone, his booth empty except for the datapad, now blinking with a single message. Elara Voss, IPIB for 72. Terminated. 48 hours. Her comms buzz. Amara Okoye's voice frantic. Voss, get out. The station's compromised. Elara scrambled to her feet, dodging panicked patrons and a hail of gunfire from shadowed figures at the bar's entrance. Her skiff was docked 3 levels up, and the station's corridors were a maze of chaos. As she sprinted through the neon-lit alleys, her HUD lit up with an incoming transmission, not from Amara, but from an unknown source. A distorted voice hissed through her earpiece. You can't outrun the Gray Network, Voss. Clintar 7 is just the beginning. The alley erupted in flame behind her as another explosion rocked the station. Elara's heart pounded, but she didn't look back. Whatever the Gray Network was planning, they just made it personal. Chapter 3, Dust and Desperation. The orbital station's alarm screamed as Elara Voss sprinted through its neon-lit corridors, the air thick with smoke and the acrid tang of burning circuits. Behind her, the alley she'd just escaped erupted in a fireball, the shockwave slamming her against a rusted bulkhead. Her HUD flickered, warning of structural breaches across the station. The Gray Network wasn't messing around. They wanted her dead, and they weren't subtle about it. Amara, you there? Elara hissed into her comms, dodging a collapsing panel as she rounded a corner. No response. Either the station signal jammers were up, or her commander was cut off, or worse. She pushed the thought aside and focused on survival. Her skiff was docked 3 levels up, but the elevators were offline, and the stairwells were a death trap of debris and panicked crowds. A burst of static crackled in her earpiece, followed by a distorted voice, not Amara's. "You're fast, Voss," it taunted, but not fast enough. The voice was cold, mechanical, like it was scraped from the underbelly of a machine god. Elara gritted her teeth and kept moving, her plasma pistol drawn, its hum a small comfort in the chaos. She reached the service hatch leading to the station's lower docks, but a low rumble stopped her cold. The floor shook, and a wall of crimson dust roared through the corridor. A terraforming storm somehow triggered inside the station. "Oh, come on," Elara muttered, diving into the hatch just as a dust cloud swallowed the hallway. Her suit's filters kicked in, sparing her lungs from the abrasive grit. But her visibility dropped to 0. The hatch led to an abandoned mining shaft, a relic from Clintar 7's early days when corporations stripped its core for rare minerals. The air here was thin, each breath a knife in her chest. Elara's HUD pinged a faint heat signature nearby. Not a drone, not a merc. Human. She crouched behind a jagged or cart, pistol ready, and whispered, "Show yourself or I start shooting." A figure stumbled from the shadows, hands raised. He was young, maybe mid-20s, with East Asian features and a face smudged with grease. His jumpsuit, patched and faded, marked him as a former terraformer. "Don't shoot," he rasped, his voice hoarse in the thin air. "I'm Gene Park. I used to work on the terraformers. I know what's wrong with them." Elara lowered her pistol, but kept her guard up. "Talk fast, Gene. This place is about to become a scrap heap." He coughed, clutching a cracked datapad. "It's a virus, not just code. It's bioengineered, adaptive. It's rewriting the terraformers to create controlled climates. But it's spreading to people." His eyes widened with fear. "I saw it. Workers in the lower sectors. Their minds gone, moving like puppets. The gray networks using them as enforcers." Elara's blood ran cold. A virus that could hijack machines and humans? That wasn't just sabotage. It was a weapon. "How do you know this?" she demanded. "I was on the terraforming crew," Gene said, his voice shaking. "I found the virus in the system, tried to report it. They fired me, then tried to kill me. I've been hiding here since." Another explosion rocked the shaft, and Elara grabbed Jin's arm, pulling him behind cover. "You're with me now," she said. "If you're lying, I'll throw you back into that storm myself." She hacked into her HUD, linking it to Jin's datapad to access his data. Lines of code scrolled across her visor, confirming his story. The virus was alive, self-replicating, and tied to a network spanning multiple planets. Her comms buzzed again, this time with Amara's voice. Faint but urgent. "Voss, report. We got incoming ships. Unmarked. They're locking down the station." Elara's heart sank. The gray network wasn't just after her. They were sealing off Clintar 7. She turned to Gene, who was clutching his datapad like a lifeline. "You said this virus is spreading. Where?" Jin's voice dropped to a whisper. 12 planets, all slated for colonization. If the gray network controls them, they control the future. Before Elara could respond, her HUD flashed red, a proximity alert. Drones, 3 of them, their laser sights cutting through the dust. She shoved Gene behind her cart and raised her pistol, her mind racing. 48 hours to live, a virus turning people into puppets, and now drones hunting her in a collapsing mine. "Well," she muttered, a grim smile tugging at her lips, "at least it's not boring." Chapter 4 Traitor's Game. The mining shaft was a tomb of shadows and dust, the air so thin it clawed at Elara Voss's lungs. Her HUD blazed red, 3 drone signatures closing in, their laser sights slicing through the crimson haze like vipers. Behind the ore cart, Gene Park clutched his cracked datapad, his eyes wide with panic. "Those drones," he whispered. "They're not standard. They're infected, running the same virus as the terraformers." "Great," Elara muttered, checking her plasma pistol's charge. "Killer robots with side of evil AI. My kind of party." She peeked over the cart, spotting the drones, sleek, spider-like machines with glowing cores that pulse like heartbeats. Their movements were too fluid, too alive for standard tech. The gray network wasn't just playing dirty. They were rewriting the rules of war. "Stay down," she hissed at Jean, then rolled out from cover, firing a burst of plasma. The shot scorched the nearest drone's casing, but it skidded aside with unnatural speed, its legs clicking against the metal floor. A laser grazed her shoulder, searing through her suit's outer layer. Pain flared, but Elara gritted her teeth and dug behind a rusted conveyor belt. "Okay, that was rude," she growled. Jean scrambled to her side, his datapad glowing faintly. "I can jam their sensors," he said, fingers flying over the screen. "But it'll only buy us a minute, maybe less." "Do it." Elara snapped, popping up a fire again. The second drone lunged, its legs slashing like blades. She ducked, feeling the air whistle above her head, and fired point blank, blowing out its core. Sparks showered the shaft as the drone collapsed. But the other two were already closing in, their lasers painting her position. Jin's datapad beeped. "Got it." A high-pitched whine filled the air, and the drones froze, their lights flickering erratically. Elara didn't waste time. She grabbed Jean and sprinted toward a collapsed tunnel at the shaft's far end, her boots pounding against the uneven ground. The drones rebooted faster than she'd hoped, their hums rising like a swarm of angry wasps. The tunnel was a dead end, blocked by a pile of rubble. But Elara spotted a maintenance vent just above it. "Up there," she said, boosting Jean toward the vent. He clambered inside, his lanky frame barely fitting. Elara followed, squeezing through just as a laser scorched the wall behind her. The vent was tight, the metal cold against her skin, but it led somewhere. Anywhere was better than a drone's crosshairs. Inside the vent, Jin's voice trembled. "The virus, it's not just in the machines. I saw code fragments that suggest it's linked to someone high up, someone in the IPIB." Elara froze, her breath catching. "What did you just say? A traitor in the IPIB?" That explained the unmarked ships, the signal jammers, the way the gray network seemed one step ahead. Her mind raced to Amara Okoye, her commander, but she shoved the thought down. Amara had saved her life too many times to be a sellout. Or had she? "Show me," Elara said, her voice hard. Jean hesitated, then pulled up a file on his datapad, a log of encrypted messages between the gray network and an IPIB codename. Specter. One message read, "Voss is a problem. Neutralize her before she reaches the core facility." Elara's blood ran cold. "Specter," she muttered. "Whoever they are, they're about to regret crossing me." But before she could process the betrayal, Jin's datapad flickered, and a new alert popped up, a video feed from the core facility deep beneath Clintar 7's surface. It showed rows of human figures, their movements jerky and lifeless. Their eyes glowed with the same eerie pulse as the drones. "Marionettes," Jean whispered. "The virus, it's turning people into that." Another explosion shook the vent, and the drone's hum grew louder. They'd found the vent's entrance. Elara's HUD pinged with a faint signal from Amara. "Voss! Get to the surface. Extraction team inbound. Trust no one." But Jean grabbed her arm, his face pale. "There's more," he said, his voice barely audible. "The virus's creator, it's not an AI. It's a person. And they're here on Clintar 7. The vent groaned as a drone's blade sliced through its edge, inches from Elara's boots. She cursed, her mind spinning. A traitor in the IPIB, a virus turning people into puppets, and now a human mastermind pulling the strings. "Stay close, Jean," she said, gripping her pistol. "We're not dying in this tin can." But as the drones close in, a single thought burned in her mind. Who the hell is Specter? Chapter 5 City Beneath the Crust. The maintenance vent was a coffin of rusted steel. Its walls closing in as Elara Voss crawled forward, her plasma pistol scraping against the metal. Behind her, Gene Park's ragged breathing echoed, his cracked datapad casting a faint glow. The drone's blade screeched, slicing through the vent's entrance like a pack of starving wolves. Elara's HUD flickered with warnings, oxygen levels dropping, structural integrity failing. The gray network wasn't just hunting her. They were collapsing the whole damn station to bury her. Move faster, Gene, Elara hissed, her voice sharp despite the burning in her lungs. Unless you want to be drone chow. I'm trying, Gene gasped, his lanky frame struggling in the tight space. This isn't exactly my idea of a good time either. A laser scorched the vent behind them, the heat singeing Elara's boots. She cursed and kicked open a grate, tumbling into a dimly lit chamber below. Gene followed, landing in a heap beside her. The chamber was a forgotten sublevel of Clintar 7's orbital station, its walls lined with flickering hollow screens advertising long-dead mining corporations. The air smelled of antiseptic and decay, a hidden medical bay, tucked away from the station's chaos. Before Elara could get her bearings, a figure emerged from the shadows, a tall man with deep brown skin and a surgeon's steady hands, his eyes sharp with suspicion. "You're trespassing," he said, his voice low and accent with the cadence of an African diaspora world. "And you brought trouble with you." Elara raised her pistol, but kept it low. "Not looking for a fight. Doc, we need a place to hide. Name's Voss, IPIB. This is Gene. He's a stray I picked up." The man studied her. Then Gene, his gaze lingering on the datapad. "I'm Malik," he said finally. "Dr. Malik Adeyemi. This is my clinic, for those the station forgets. But if the gray network's after you, you're bringing hell to my doorstep." Elara's eyes narrowed. "You know about the gray network?" Malik snorted, gesturing to a row of cots where patients lay, their bodies hooked to makeshift IVs. "I've seen their work. Workers from the lower sectors, infected with something that turns their minds to mush. I've been trying to reverse it, but it's no ordinary virus." He pointed to a cracked monitor displaying brain scans, neural patterns warped by glowing, unnatural threads. "It's their tech, and it's backed by NovaCorp." Elara's stomach twisted. NovaCorp was a galactic titan, a corporation with tendrils in every colonized system, from terraforming contracts to military tech. If they were funding the Gray Network, this wasn't just a crime. It was a conspiracy that could topple the Interplanetary Alliance. "You're saying a megacorp is turning people into zombies to rig a land grab?" she asked, her tone dry. "That's a new low even for them." "Not zombies," Malik corrected, his voice grim. "Tools. The virus rewires their brains to follow orders. NovaCorp's been testing it here, on Clintar 7's workers. Disposable labor, no one to miss them." Gene clutched his datapad, his face pale. "That's what I saw in the code. It's not just the terraformers. It's a control system. They're building an army." Elara's comms buzzed and Amara Okoye's voice cut through, faint and distorted. "Voss, status. Extraction teams delayed. Hostile ships are blockading the station. Stay sharp. Something's off with HQ." "Off how?" Elara demanded, but the signal cut out. She glanced at Malik, then Gene. "Specter," she said, the code name bitter on her tongue. "Someone in the IPIB is feeding the Gray Network intel. Any guesses, Doc?" Malik's jaw tightened. "I don't trust your kind, Voss. IPIB's been turning a blind eye to NovaCorp's experiments for years. You want answers? Check the core facility, below the planet's surface. That's where they're running the show." A low rumble shook the chamber, dust raining from ceiling. Elara's HUD pinged. An encrypted message, not from Amara but from an unknown source. She opened it, and a distorted hollow image flickered to life. A figure in a hooded cloak, their face obscured. Voss, the figure said, their voice a digital rasp. You're digging too deep. Leave Clintar 7, or your friends join the marionettes. The message cut off, but not before Elara's HUD traced its origin. The core facility, just as Malik said. She looked at Jean, then Malik, her mind racing. A traitor in the IPIB, a virus turning people into puppets, and now a direct threat from the shadows. Well, Doc, she said, holstering her pistol with a grim smile. Looks like we're crashing NovaCorp's party. You in? Malik hesitated, then grabbed a medkit. For my patients, he said. Not for you. Jin's datapad beeped, its screen flashing red. Elara, he whispered. The virus. It's accelerating. If we don't stop it soon, Clintar 7's done. And so are we. Chapter 6 signal from the void. The medical bay's dim lights flickered as Elara Voss crouched beside a rusted console, her HUD scanning for surveillance signals. The air was heavy with the stench of antiseptic and fear. The cots behind her filled with Malik's patients, workers whose minds have been hollowed out by the Gray Network's virus. Gene Park sat cross-legged on the floor, his cracked datapad glowing as he sifted through lines of stolen code. Dr. Malik Adeyemi stood guard at the door, his medkit slung over his shoulder, his eyes scanning the shadows for threats. The station's tremors had quieted, but Elara knew it was only a lull. The Gray Network was coming, and they weren't known for leaving loose ends. We need to hit the core facility, Elara said, her voice low but firm. It's where the virus is being controlled. If we don't shut it down, Clintar 7's just the first domino to fall. Malik snorted, his deep voice dripping with skepticism. You think you can just waltz into NovaCorp's fortress? It's buried under kilometers of rock, guarded by drones and worse. You're IPIB, Voss, but even you don't have that kind of clearance. Elara flashed a grim smile. Clearance is overrated. I got a pistol and a bad attitude. That's usually enough. Gene looked up from his datapad, his face pale but determined. She's right. The core facility's where the virus's mainframe is. I can hack their outer systems, but we'll need a way in physically. The security's layered, biometrics, AI sentries, and something else. The code mentions a ascension override. I don't know what that means. Sounds like a fancy way to say we're screwed, Elara muttered, but her mind was racing. Ascension override? That lined up with Jin's earlier claim that the virus's creator was human, not AI. Someone was pulling the strings, and they were close, too close. Her HUD pinged with an incoming signal, encrypted and bouncing through a dozen proxy relays. She hesitated, then opened the channel. A distorted voice crackled through, low and urgent. Voss, you're stirring up a storm you can't weather. I can help. Call me Ghost. Elara's eyes narrowed. Ghost, huh? Cute code name. What's your angle? And don't waste my time. I've got about 47 hours before the Gray Network turns me into a pincushion. The voice chuckled, a sound like static and gravel. I'm no friend of the Gray Network. I've been tracking their moves for months. The core facility's your target, but you'll need my intel to get past the first gate. Sending you a data packet now. Schematics, guard patterns, and a backdoor code. Use it, or die. A file appeared on her HUD, tagged with a digital signature, a stylized skull with circuit-like veins. Elara glanced at Jean. Check this. If it's a trap, I want to know before we're neck-deep in drones again. Jin's fingers danced over his datapad, his brow furrowed. It's clean, detailed, too. Blueprints of the core facility, down to the ventilation shafts. Whoever Ghost is, they've got access to NovaCorp's inner systems. But he hesitated. There's a warning in the metadata. Beware the marionettes. They're not just puppets, they're watching. Malik's voice cut through the tension. Watching? You mean those things in my clinic are spying for the Gray Network? He gestured at cots, where a patient twitched, their eyes flickering with an unnatural glow. I've been keeping them sedated, but if they're networked... Elara's stomach twisted. The virus wasn't just controlling people. It was turning them into surveillance nodes. Every infected worker was a pair of eyes for the enemy. "We need to move," she said. "Ghost Intel gives us a shot, but we're on borrowed time." Malik grabbed a plasma cutter from his medkit, its blade humming softly. "I'm coming. Not for you, Voss, but for them." He nodded toward his patients. No one else gets turned into a damn puppet. Gene packed his datapad, his hand shaking but his voice steady. "I can guide us to the facility's access point, a freight elevator in the lower docks. But we'll need to bypass the station's lockdown." Elara nodded, her mind already mapping the route. The core facility was their only lead, but Ghost's involvement felt like a deal with the devil. And Specter, the traitor in the IPIB, was still out there, watching her every move. She left a coded message for Elara Voss, heading to the core. "Possible mole in IPIB. Watch your back." If Elara was Specter, Elara was walking into a trap. If not, she'd need her commander support to survive what came next. As they slipped out of the medical bay into the station's darkened corridors, Elara's HUD pinged again. Another message from Ghost, short and chilling. "You're not alone in the docks. Specter knows you're coming." The words hung in the air like a noose. Elara tightened her grip on her pistol, her pulse hammering. "All right, team," she said, her voice laced with dark humor. "Let's go poke the hornet's nest. And if we die, I'm haunting Ghost first." Chapter 7 Traps in the Dark. The freight elevator groaned as it descended into Clintar 7's underbelly, its rusted walls rattling like a death knell. Elara Voss gripped her plasma pistol, her HUD casting a faint glow across her face. Gene Park stood beside her, his cracked datapad flickering as he monitored the core facility security feeds. Courtesy of Ghost Intel, Dr. Malik Adeyemi clutched his plasma cutter, his jaw tight, his eyes scanning the shadows. The air grew colder with every meter they dropped, the weight of the planet's crust pressing down like a warning. "Ghost schematics better be legit," Elara muttered, checking her pistol's charge. "If we walk into a trap, I'm sending them a strongly worded ghost-to-ghost complaint." Jin's lips twitched, a ghost of a smile. The backdoor code's holding, for now, but the facility's AI sentries are active, and those marionettes, he swallowed hard. They're everywhere. Malik's voice was grim. "My patients were just the start. If NovaCorp's running experiments down here, we're walking into a slaughterhouse." The elevator shuddered to a stop, its doors screeching open to reveal a cavernous tunnel carved into Clintar 7's bedrock. Bioluminescent cables snaked along the walls, pulsing like veins, casting an eerie blue glow. Elara's HUD pinged with alerts. Motion sensors, laser grids, and something her sensors couldn't identify. A faint biosignature, erratic and wrong. "Stay sharp," she whispered, stepping into the tunnel. "This place is wired to kill." They moved cautiously, Jin's datapad guiding them through ghost backdoor routes. The first trap came without warning. A laser grid flickered to life, its beam slicing the air inches from Elara's face. She froze, heart pounding, and signaled Gene. "Hack it, now." Jin's fingers flew over his datapad, sweat beading on his brow. "Got it," he hissed, and the lasers blinked out. But the tunnel wasn't done with them. A low hum filled the air, and the walls shuddered as a swarm of micro-drones, each the size of a coin, poured from hidden vents. Their needle-like stingers glinted, primed with something that looked suspiciously like the virus. "Move!" Elara shouted, firing a plasma burst that incinerated a handful of drones. Malik swung his plasma cutter, carving through the swarm, while Gene ducked behind a cable bundle, frantically jamming their signals. The drones fell in a shower of sparks, but not before one grazed Malik's arm, leaving a thin line of blood. He cursed but waved off Elara's concern. "I'm fine. Keep going." They reached a sealed blast door, its surface etched with NovaCorp's logo, a stylized star that felt more like a brand of ownership. Gene hacked the lock, and the door slid open, revealing a chamber that made Elara's blood run cold. Rows of glass pods line the walls, each containing a human figure. Men, women, even children, suspended in a viscous fluid. Their eyes glowed with the same eerie pulse as the drones, their movements jerky and unnatural. Marionettes, dozens of them, wired to machines that hummed with malevolent purpose. "Holy hell," Elara whispered, her voice barely audible. "This isn't a lab. It's a factory." Jin's datapad pinged, pulling up a video feed embedded in the facility system. The footage showed a figure in a lab coat, their face obscured, injecting a glowing serum into a test subject. The subject convulsed, their eyes lighting up as a virus took hold. A voice, calm, clinical, spoke over the feed. "Subject 472 stable. Neural override complete. Ready for deployment." Malik's face twisted with rage. That's what they did to my patients. They're not just controlling the planet. They're building an army of slaves. Elara's HUD flickered, and a new message from Ghost appeared. "You're in. Find the mainframe. Destroy it. But beware. Specter's closer than you think." The word sent a chill down her spine. The IPIB traitor was here, in the facility, watching their every move. Before she could respond, the pods hissed, and one cracked open, spilling fluid onto the floor. The marionette inside, a young woman with hollow eyes, lurched forward, her movements puppet-like but fast. Elara raised her pistol, but the woman's voice stopped her cold, a mechanical rasp that didn't belong to her. "Voss, you cannot stop the future." The chamber's lights flickered, and more pods began to open, the hum of machinery rising like a death march. Elara backed away, her pulse hammering. "Jean, Malik, get to the mainframe," she said, her voice steady despite the fear clawing at her chest. "I'll hold them off." But as the marionettes closed in, their glowing eyes locked on her, a single thought burned in her mind. Specter's here, and they're playing for keeps. Chapter 8 facing the atmosphere. The chamber pulsed with sickly blue light, the hum of machinery a death knell as the marionettes stirred. Elara Voss stood her ground, plasma pistol raised, her heart hammering against her ribs. The glass pods hissed, spilling their viscous fluid onto the floor, and more figures emerged, men, women, their glowing eyes locked on her like predators. Their movements were jerky, mechanical, but terrifyingly fast, driven by the Gray Network's virus. Behind her, Jean Park and Dr. Malik Adeyemi sprinted toward the mainframe at the chamber's far end, but Elara knew they'd never make it without a fight. "Jean, Malik, keep moving," Elara shouted, firing a plasma burst at the nearest marionette. A young woman whose face might have been kind once, now twisted into a hollow mask. The shot at her chest, and she crumpled, but more took her place, their voices a chilling chorus. "Voss, you cannot stop the future." "Oh, I'm going to stop something," Elara growled, her voice laced with defiance. She dove behind a console, dodging a marionette's claw-like hand. Her HUD screamed warnings. Too many hostiles, too little ammo. She fired again, the plasma sizzling through the air, but the marionettes kept coming, their glowing eyes unblinking. Malik swung his plasma cutter, severing a marionette's arm, but another tackled him, pinning him against the pod. "Voss!" he roared, struggling. "We're getting swarmed." Jean, crouched at the mainframe's terminal, worked frantically, his datapad linked to the system. "I'm almost in," he yelled. "Just need a few seconds." "Seconds we don't have." Elara snapped, grabbing a loose pipe and swinging it like a bat, knocking a marionette back. Her HUD pinged, a new message from Ghost. "Mainframe's locked by a biometric key. Find the Overseer. She's your target." Elara's blood ran cold. The Overseer, the human behind the virus, not some AI called Atmosphere. The chamber's lights flickered, and a new figure emerged from a hidden alcove, a woman in a sleek lab coat, her hair silver and cropped, her eyes sharp with a fanatic's gleam. She was American, her accent crisp as she spoke. "Agent Voss, you're persistent. I'll give you that." Her voice carried the weight of someone who'd already won. I'm Dr. Celine Kane. Welcome to my laboratory. Elara aimed her pistol, her jaw tight. You're the one turning people into puppets? Real classy, Doc. What's your end game? World domination or just a sick hobby? Celine's lips curve into a cold smile. Not domination. Evolution. The galaxy's overcrowded. Voss. Resources are finite. The virus ensures only the worthy survive. Those who can pay for paradise. The rest. She gestured to the marionettes. They serve. Malik's face twisted with rage. You're killing them. My patients, your test subjects, they're people, not tools. Celine's eyes flickered with disdain. They're collateral. The Interplanetary Alliance is too weak to make hard choices. I'm building a future where strength rules, not bureaucracy. Elara's mind raced. Celine was NovaCorp's puppet master. But what about Specter, the IPIB traitor? Were they one and the same, or was someone else pulling Celine's strings? She didn't have time to think. The marionette surged forward, and Elara fired, her shots precise but dwindling. Jean shouted, I got the mainframe open. I can shut it down, but it'll trigger a self-destruct. Do it, Elara yelled, dodging a marionette's lunge. She grabbed a power cell from a nearby console and hurled it at Celine, who sidestepped with unnerving grace. The cell exploded in a shower of sparks, buying Elara a moment to close the distance. She tackled Celine, pinning her against the wall. Call off your puppets, or I end this now. Celine laughed, her voice icy. You think you can stop me? The virus is already on 12 planets. Clintar, 7 is just a prototype. Her eyes gleamed with something darker. And Specter? They're closer than you know. The chamber shook as Jean activated the self-destruct sequence, alarms blaring. The marionettes froze, their glowing eyes dimming, but the facility's walls groaned, cracks spiderwebbing across the ceiling. Malik grabbed Jean, pulling him toward an exit, but Elara held Celine, her pistol pressed to the scientist's temple. Talk came. Who's Specter? Celine smiled and wavered. You'll know soon enough, but you won't live to care. A hidden panel slid open behind her, and she slipped through, vanishing into the shadows as the chamber began to collapse. Elara cursed, sprinting after Jean and Malik as debris rained down. Her HUD flashed with a final message from Ghost. Get out now. Specter's watching. The exit tunnel loomed ahead, but the ground buckled beneath them, and a new sound echoed, a low mechanical growl, like something massive waking up. Elara's heart sank. What now? She muttered, her voice grim. If that's Specter, I'm really starting to hate their style. Chapter 9, Unlikely Allies. The core facility trembled, its walls cracking like bones under the weight of the self-destruct sequence. Elara Voss sprinted through the collapsing tunnel, debris raining around her as the ground buckled. Her HUD screamed with alerts. Structural failure imminent. Oxygen levels critical. Behind her, the mechanical growl grew louder, a monstrous sound that echoed to the bedrock of Clintar 7. Jean Park and Dr. Malik Adeyemi were ahead, scrambling toward the exit, but Elara's shoulder burned from a marionette's earlier strike, slowing her down. Her plasma pistol was nearly drained, and Dr. Celine Kane's parting words, Specter's closer than you know, clawed at her mind. Voss, move! Malik roared, his plasma cutter slicing through a fallen beam blocking their path. His medkit bounced against his hip, his face set with grim determination. Jean clutched his datapad, its screen flickering as he tried to maintain the hack that had frozen the marionettes. But the facility's mainframe was fighting back, its virus-infected systems rebooting faster than he could counter. I'm trying. Elara snapped, dodging a chunk of ceiling that crashed inches from her feet. Her HUD pinged, a faint signal from the freight elevator they'd used to enter. If they could reach it, they might survive. But the growl behind them was no longer just a sound. Her sensors picked up a massive heat signature, something big, mechanical, and alive with the same eerie pulse as the marionettes. They burst into a wider chamber, the elevator just ahead, but the ground shook and a hulking shape loomed from the shadows. A biomechanical construct, half drone, half nightmare, its limbs a tangle of metal and glowing veins. Its core pulsed like a heartbeat, and Elara swore she saw eyes in its frame, watching her with malevolent intent. "What the hell is that?" she muttered, raising her pistol. "No time!" Jean yelled, sprinting for the elevator, but the construct lunged, its claw-like appendage slamming into ground, sending Jean sprawling. His data pad skidded across the floor, and Malik dug to shield him, only to take a glancing blow to the leg. He grunted, blood seeping through his torn pants, but waved Elara off. "Get to the elevator. I'll hold it." "Not a chance, Doc," Elara said. Fire her last plasma rounds at the construct. The shot scorched its armor, but barely slowed it. She grabbed Jean, hauling him to his feet, and shoved him toward the elevator. Hack the doors now. As Jean worked, a new signal cut through the chaos, an encrypted burst from Ghost. Elara's HUD opened the channel, and a voice, less distorted this time, filled her earpiece. "Voss, you're in over your head. I'm coming in. Hold the line." The signal's origin was close. Too close. Whoever Ghost was, they were already in the facility. The elevator doors hissed open, but the construct charged, its growl shaking the walls. Elara grabbed Malik's plasma cutter and swung it, carving a gash in the construct side. It recoiled, but not before its claw caught her arm, tearing through her suit and drawing blood. Pain seared through her, but she gritted her teeth and pushed Malik into the elevator with Jean. Before the doors could close, a figure dropped from the ceiling vent. A lean woman in a black stealth suit, her face half covered by a tactical mask. Her dark eyes and sharp features marked her as Southeast Asian, and her movements were those of a trained operative. She hurled a pulse grenade at the construct, the explosion sending it staggering back in a shower of sparks. "Ghost, I presume?" Elara panted, clutching her bleeding arm. The woman nodded, her voice calm but urgent. "Lila Tran, ex-IPIB. Long story. Get in the elevator." She tossed Elara a micro-injector. "For the pain. You'll need it." The elevator doors slammed shut as the construct recovered, its claws scraping against the metal. The car lurched upward, but Elara's HUD flashed with a new alert. Sensors detected a power surge in the facility's reactor core. Jin's self-destruct hack had worked too well. The entire complex was about to blow. "Lila," Elara said, her voice tight, "please tell me you got a plan." Lila's mask hid her expression, but her eyes were grim. "I've got a skiff docked at the surface. But there's a problem. Specter's already there, waiting for us." Elara's heart sank. The IPIB traitor had been one step ahead the whole time, and now they were walking into an ambush. She glanced at Jean, pale and trembling, and Malik, limping but resolute. Her arm throbbed, but she forced a grin. Well, if Specter wants to fight, they're about to get one. Let's make it a party they won't forget. The elevator shuddered to a stop, its doors opening to a surface lit by Clintar 7's crimson sky. But before they could step out, a shadow moved in the distance, a figure cloaked in black, flanked by a squad of armed drones. Lila's voice dropped to a whisper. "That's them. Specter." Elara tightened her grip on her pistol, her blood roaring. The facility rumbled below, seconds from detonation, and Specter stood between them and freedom. "Game on," she muttered, stepping into the storm. Chapter 10, Crimson Reckoning. Clintar 7's crimson sky churned with dust and fury, the air thick with a tang of sulfur and impending doom. Elara Voss stepped out of the freight elevator, her boots crunching on the scorched earth, her plasma pistol heavy in her bloodied hand. Beside her, Lila Tran Ghost, crouched low, her stealth suit blending with the shadows. Jean Park and Dr. Malik Adeyemi flanked them, battered but unyielding, their eyes fixed on the figure ahead. Specter, cloaked in black, flanked by a squad of sleek virus-infected drones. Below their feet, The core facility rumbled, seconds from detonation, its death throes shaking the ground. "Specter," Elara shouted, her voice cutting through the wind. "Show your face, you coward. Or are you just another puppet?" The cloaked figure tilted their head, and a low, distorted laugh crackled through the drone speakers. "You're tenacious, Voss," they said, their voice a mechanical rasp. "But you're out of time." The drones whirred to life, their laser sights painting red dots across Elara's chest. Lila's voice was a whisper in Elara's earpiece. "They're stalling. The facility's reactor is overloading. We've got minutes, maybe less." Elara's HUD flickered, her arm throbbing from the construct's earlier attack, but she forced a grin. "Then let's make those minutes count." She dove behind a jagged rock, firing a plasma burst that clipped the drone, sending it spiraling into the dirt. Lila hurled a pulse grenade, its explosion scattering the squad. But Specter didn't flinch, their cloak billowing like a storm cloud. Malik dragged Jean behind cover, his plasma cutter humming. "We need to get to Lila's skiff," he growled, his legs still bleeding from the fight below. "This is suicide." "Not yet, Doc," Elara said, popping up to fire again. Her shots were precise, but the drones were too fast, their virus-enhanced reflexes dodging her attacks. Jin's datapad beeped, pulling up a fragment of ghost intel, a partial decryption of Specter's comms. "Elara," he hissed, "they're linked to IPIB secure channel. It's someone high up, maybe even Amara?" Elara's heart twisted, but she shoved the thought aside. Her commander couldn't be Specter. Could she? The doubt gnawed at her, but there was no time to dwell. Specter raised a hand, and the drones surged forward, their claws glinting under the crimson sky. Lila moved like a phantom, her knives flashing as she dismantled the drone's core. "Voss, focus," she snapped. "We take Specter down or we're all dead." But as she spoke, a drone's laser grazed her side, and she stumbled, cursing in a language Elara didn't recognize. Elara's HUD pinged, a final message from the core facility's mainframe, uploaded by Jin's hack before the self-destruct. Virus data, NovaCorp contracts, Specter's comms logged. It was everything they needed to expose the Grey Network, but it was useless if they didn't survive. She made a split-second decision. "Jean, get that data to Amara. Lila, Malik, get him to the skiff." "What about you?" Jin's voice cracked, his eyes wide with fear. Elara's grin was grim. "I'm buying you time. Go." She sprinted toward Specter, drawing the drone's fire. Her pistol roared, each shot a desperate prayer, but the cloaked figure was untouchable, their movements fluid, almost inhuman. The ground shook harder, the facility's reactor reaching critical mass. Malik grabbed Jean, dragging him toward the skiff, a sleek, battered craft hidden behind a ridge. Lila hesitated, her eyes locked on Elara, but Elara's voice cut through the comms. "Don't make me haunt you, Tran. Get them out." Lila cursed but followed, covering Jean and Malik as they ran. Elara faced Specter alone, her ammo gone, her body screaming with pain. "Who are you?" she demanded, her voice raw. "Why betray the IPIB?" Specter's cloak fell away, revealing a face Elara didn't recognize. A man mid-40s with cold gray eyes and a scar across his cheek. "I'm no traitor," he said, his voice clear now, unfiltered. "I'm survival. The Alliance is dying, Voss. NovaCorp's the future, and you're just collateral." He raised a sleek device, a neural disruptor, primed to fry her mind like the marionettes. But before he could fire, Elara lunged, tackling him into the dirt. They grappled, her strength fading, but she managed to rip the device from his hand, crushing it under her boot. Specter snarled, shoving her off, but the ground buckled, a massive explosion erupting from the facility below. Elara stumbled, her vision blurring. She saw the skiff lift off. Jin's face pressed against the viewport, Malik and Lila fighting to stabilize the craft. Her HUD flickered, and she sent a final coded burst to Amara Okoye, Astra's Specter exposed. NovaCorp virus data uploaded. Don't let them win. Asterisk, the message drained her suit's last power, and she collapsed, the crimson skies swallowing her view. As the skiff vanished into the storm, a shadow loomed over Elara, Specter, bloody but alive, a new weapon in his hand. "You've lost," he said, aiming. But before he could fire, a faint hum cut through the wind, a signal, pulsing from an unknown source. Specter froze, his eyes widening, and Elara's lips curved into a weak smile. "Maybe," she whispered, "but I'm not the only one playing." The signal grew louder, and the ground shook again, not from facility, but from something new, something massive, approaching through the dust. Specter's face twisted in fear, and Elara's world faded to black, the question burning in her mind. What's coming now? Chapter 11 echoed from beyond. The skiff tore through Clintar 7's crimson storm, its engine screaming against the howling wind. Lila Tran gripped the controls, her knuckles white, her tactical mask discarded to reveal a face etched with grim resolve. Gene Park hunched over his cracked datapad in the co-pilot seat, frantically scanning for Elara Voss's biosignature. Dr. Malik Adeyemi sat in the back, bandaging his wounded leg, his plasma cutter resting across his lap. The core facility's explosion still echoed in her ears, a wound in the planet's crust that spewed fire and ash into the sky. Elara was down there, alone with Specter, and time was running out. "She's not dead," Lila said, her voice steady but tight. "Voss is too stubborn to die like that." Her Southeast Asian accent carried a faint tremor, betraying the fear she wouldn't admit. Jin's datapad beeped, pulling up a faint signal. Elara's HUD, barely active, buried under rubble near the facility surface. "Got her," he exclaimed, his voice cracking with relief. "But there's interference. Something's jamming the signal. It's not NovaCorp tech. It's alien." Malik leaned forward, his deep voice skeptical. "Alien? You're saying little green men are behind this mess now?" "Not green men," Gene muttered, his fingers flying over the datapad. "The virus's code has markers I didn't recognize before, non-human patterns, like it was reverse engineered from something ancient. That signal Elara heard before she went down, it's not from Clintar 7. It's from orbit." Lila's eyes narrowed, but she kept the jet steady, banking through the clouds. "Focus, Gene. We get Voss, then we deal with your sci-fi conspiracy theories." But her mind churned. As an ex-IPIB agent, she'd seen classified files, whispers of extraterrestrial artifacts buried in the galaxy's fringes. If the Gray Network had tapped into that, the virus was just the beginning. The skiff descended toward the facility's ruins, a smoldering crater under Clintar 7's blood-red sky. Lila landed hard, the craft hull groaning, and the trio spilled out, weapons ready. The air was thick with sulfur and static, the ground littered with twisted metal and drone fragments. Jin's datapad guided them to a collapsed tunnel entrance, where Elara's signal flickered like a dying star. "Over here," Malik called, clearing debris with his plasma cutter. They found her, Elara, half buried under a slab of concrete, her suit torn, her face pale but breathing. Lila injected her with a stim from Malik's medkit, and Elara's eyes fluttered open, pain and defiance burning in them. "Miss me?" Elara croaked, her voice raw. "Specter got away, but I broke his toy." She gestured weakly to a crushed neural disruptor nearby. Lila helped her up, her grip firm. "You're a pain in the ass, Voss. Let's move before this place buries us all." But before they could reach the skiff, Jin's datapad screamed, a new signal, pulsing from orbit, stronger now. The ground trembled, and a low hum filled the air, like the heartbeat of something vast. Lila's HUD lit up with an incoming transmission, unencrypted, its source tagged as unknown entity. A voice, neither human nor machine, but something in between, spoke, its words chilling. "You've awakened us, children of Earth. The pathogen is ours. Return it or your worlds burn." The sky above split open, a massive, obsidian shape descending through clouds, a ship its hull rippling with patterns that defy geometry. Its presence pressed against their minds, a weight of ancient, alien intent. Gene froze, his datapad dropping to the dirt. Malik's hand tightened on his cutter, his voice a whisper. "What in God's name is that?" Elara, leaning on Lila, forced a grim smile. Guess my last message to Amara stirred up more than I thought. Her HUD was dead, but she'd sent the virus data to IPIB, exposing NovaCorp and Specter. Had that signal drawn this thing? Lila's voice cut through the panic. "Skiff, now. We're not fighting that." They dragged Elara toward the craft. But the alien ship's hum grew deafening, and a beam of light lanced down, pinning them in place. The voice spoke again. "Elara Voss, you carry our mark. Come to us or your companions die." Elara's arm burned where the construct had clawed her, a faint glow pulsing under her skin. Something the virus or this entity had left behind. Her heart pounded, but she met Lila's eyes, her voice steady. "Get Gene and Malik out. I'll handle this." "No way," Lila snapped, but the beam tightened and Gene cried out, clutching his head. Malik staggered, blood trickling from his nose. Elara pushed Lila toward the skiff, her voice fierce. "Go or we all die." As Lila reluctantly dragged Gene and Malik aboard, the beam pulled Elara upward, her body weightless, her mind screaming against the alien presence. The skiff's engines roared, fading into the storm, and Elara faced the ship alone, its maw opening like a void. Her last thought was of her team, save for now, and a single burning question. What do these things want with me? Chapter 12, Dominion of the Stars. Elara Voss hung suspended in the alien ship's core, a vast chamber of liquid obsidian and pulsating light. The air vibrated with an unearthly resonance, each pulse pressing against her skull like a cosmic tide. Her battered suit clung to her skin, and her arm throbbed with a biomechanical construct had marked her, its glowing veins now mirrored in the ship's walls. Clintar 7 was a speck below, lost in the void of stars beyond the ship's translucent hull. Her weapons were gone, her HUD dark, but her will burn like a supernova. "Who the hell are you?" Elara demanded, her voice raw but defiant. "And what's with the creepy light show?" The chamber's energy coalesced into a singular presence, its voice a chorus of countless minds, ancient and vast. "We are the architects, shapers of worlds. You carry our sigil, Elara Voss. The pathogen your kind calls a virus is our creation, defiled by your scavengers. Return it or your stars will fall." Elara's mind spun. The virus wasn't NovaCorp's. It was a relic of these architects, a tool of cosmic engineering turned into a weapon by the Grey Network. The scale of it dwarfed her, a galactic conspiracy spanning eons. "If you're so grand," she said, forcing a smirk, "why let a bunch of corporate rats steal your tech? Bad day at the God office." The light tightened, pain flaring through her marked arm. "Your insolence is noted. Your corporations are parasites, exploiting fragments of our dominion. The pathogen was meant to forge order from chaos, not enslave. You will restore its purpose, or your species will be erased." Far below, Lila Tran's skiff screamed through Clintar 7's upper atmosphere, its hull scorched by re-entry. Lila gripped the controls, her ex-IPIB instincts razor-sharp, her dark eyes fixed on the alien ship's silhouette in orbit. Gene Park worked feverishly at his cracked datapad, hacking into IPIB's secure channel to reach Amaro Okoye. Dr. Malik Adeyemi monitored the alien signal from the rear, his wounded leg braced, his plasma cutter ready. The core facility's explosion had scarred the planet, but Elara's capture by that thing was a wound in their souls. "Any luck?" Lila snapped, her voice taut with urgency. Jin's fingers danced over his datapad. "Amara's channel is live, but there's interference. Alien tech, same as the virus's code. It's not human. Elara's last upload, NovaCorp's contracts, Specter's comms, is with IPIB now. We can end the Grey Network, but we need Voss." Malik's deep voice rumbled. "She's on that ship, and we're flying blind. That thing could sweat us like flies. Lila's jaw tightened. Then we sting it first. Voss didn't give up on us. We're not giving up on her. Her mind raced. Classified IPIB files had hinted at alien relics, but nothing like this. The architects were a power beyond the galaxy's fragile alliances, and Elara was caught in their web. On the alien ship, Elara fought the beam's hold, her marked arm blazing with light. Erase us? You sound like every megalomaniac I've met, she growled. Celine Kane, NovaCorp, now you. Why is it always about wiping out the little guys? The architect's presence pulsed, a flicker of intrigue in its tone. You are persistent. The sigil binds you to our will, a conduit to your worlds. The pathogen has infected 12 of your systems, a corruption we did not foresee. You will sever its spread, or we will unmake your kind. Elara's blood ran cold. 12 systems, billions of lives, already in the gray network's grip. And if I play along, what's your deal, galactic gardening with a side of genocide? The chamber projected a vision. Stars reborn, planets sculpted into perfect, sterile harmony, devoid of human strife. The architect's vision of order, cold and absolute. Elara's team flashed through her mind. Jin's quiet brilliance, Malik's fierce heart, Lila's unbreakable spirit, and she spat. No thanks. I'll take our chaos over your dystopian art project any day. Pain seared through her, the mark threatening to consume her. But a crude human-made signal broke through. Jin's hack, raw and desperate, piercing the ship systems. His voice crackled in her ear. Elara, give us a sign. We're in orbit. In the skiff, Jin's datapad lit up with a response. A pulse from Elara's mark, amplified by the alien tech. Lila locked onto the coordinates, pushing the skiff toward the massive ship, its hull a nightmare of shifting geometries. Malik's scanner screamed. Alien drones, sleek and deadly, swarmed from the ship's surface. Their weapons glowed with otherworldly energy. We're outgunned, Malik said, his voice steady, but I've faced worse odds. Lila's comms buzzed and Amaro Koye's voice cut through. Strained but commanding. Lila, stand down. IPIB fleet's 2 hours out. You're in restricted space. Hold position. No, Dice Commander, Lila replied, her voice fierce. Voss is in there and we're not waiting. She glanced at Jean and Malik, their faces resolute, braced for impact. On the alien ship, Elara clung to Jin's signal, a spark in the void. She focused on her mark, forcing it to amplify the hack, sending a stolen schematic of the ship's core back to the skiff. The chamber trembled, the architect's control faltering, and the beam released her, dropping her to the cold floor. She gasped, battered but alive. But a new figure emerged from the shadows, a human cloaked in darkness, their presence laced with the architect's power. Specter's voice, now a hybrid of man and machine, echoed, "You've doomed us all, Voss. The architects will burn your worlds for this." Elara staggered to her feet, unarmed, her arm glowing like a star. Specter raised a weapon, its energy a twisted fusion of alien and human tech, and the ship hummed with malevolent intent. Lila's skiff breached the outer hull, IPIB's fleet closing in, but Elara faced Specter alone, her mind racing. Asterisk, how do I stop a traitor backed by gods? Chapter 13, Shatterpoint. Elara Voss stood on the alien ship's obsidian floor, her arm blazing with the architect's sigil, its glow casting eerie shadows across the chamber. Specter loomed before her, his scarred face twisted with alien malice, his weapon, a fusion of human steel and otherworldly energy, humming with lethal intent. The ship's walls pulsed like a living thing, and the architect's presence pressed against Elara's mind. Their ancient with demanding submission. Her body ached, her weapons gone, but her defiance burned hotter than the stars outside. "You're a lousy traitor, Specter," Elara spat, her voice steady despite the pain. "Teaming up with space gods? That's a new low even for you." Specter's eyes, now flecked with the architect's light, narrowed. "You're blind, Voss. The Alliance is a rotting corpse. The architects offer order and survival. You're just a speck in their design." His weapon flared, its energy crackling toward her. Elara dove, rolling across the slick floor as the blast scorched the air where she'd stood. She grabbed a jagged shard of debris, shattered alien tech, and hurled it at Specter, buying a second to think. Her sigil pulsed, amplifying Jin's hack from the skiff. Its signal a faint lifeline. Hold on, team, she thought. I'm not done yet. In orbit, Lila Trans-skiff weaved through a swarm of alien drones, their sleek forms darting like predators in the void. Lila's hands danced over controls, her IPIB reflexes pushing the craft to its limits. Gene Park clung to his datapad, its screen glowing with Elara's stolen schematic of the alien ship's core. Dr. Malik Adeyemi braced in the rear, his plasma cutter ready, his wounded leg a dull ache he ignored. The architect's ship loomed ahead, a colossus of shifting geometries, its drones firing beams that grazed the skiff's hull. Gene, talk to me, Lila snapped, banking to avoid a drone's attack. Where's Voss? Jin's voice was tense but focused. Her signals in the central chamber, cores nearby. If we breach the hull there, we can get to her. But the drones, his datapad beeped, intercepting a fragment of alien code. Wait, their weapons are linked to the ship's network. I can jam them, but it'll take time. Malik's deep voice cut through. Time we don't have. That fleet better show up soon or we're toast. Lila's comms crackled, and Amaro Okoye's voice broke through, sharp and urgent. Lila, IPIB cruisers are 1 hour out. You're in a restricted zone. Pull back now. Not happening. Lila shot back, her voice fierce. Voss is in there and we're going in. Send the fleet to these coordinates. She relayed Jin's schematic, praying Amaro would act fast. On the alien ship, Elara ducked another of Specter's blasts, her sigil burning hotter, its energy syncing with the chamber systems. The architect's voice thundered in her mind. Cease your resistance, Voss. You cannot defy our will. Watch me, Elara growled, slamming her glowing arm against a nearby panel. The sigil flared, overloading the panel in a shower of sparks, and the chamber shook, its lights flickering. Specter staggered, his weapon faltering, but he lunged, tackling her to the ground. His strength was unnatural, fueled by the architect's power, and Elara's vision blurred as his hands closed around her throat. You're nothing, Specter hissed, his voice a twisted echo. The architects will remake the galaxy and you'll be dust. Elara's fingers scrabbled across the floor, finding the debris shard. She drove it into Specter's side, his scream a mix of human pain and alien rage. He recoiled, blood and glowing ichor seeping from the wound, and Elara scrambled to her feet, gasping. The chamber's walls pulsed faster, the architect anger a tangible force. But Jin's hack surged through her sigil, disrupting their control. Outside, Lila's skiff dodged a final drone, Jin's jam kicking in as the swarm faltered, their weapons dimming. Now! Lila shouted, firing the skiff's plasma cannons at the ship's hull. The blast tore a gash in the alien metal, exposing the central chamber. Malik prepped a grappling line, his face set with grim determination. Let's get our girl. Elara sensed the breach, her sigil pulsing with Jin's signal. She sprinted toward the gash, but Specter recovered, his weapon blazing. A beam grazed her shoulder, searing pain dropping her to one knee. The architect's voice boomed. You are bound to us, Voss. Flee and your worlds burn. Elara forced a grin, blood trickling from her lip. Burn this, you cosmic bullies. She slammed her sigil against another panel, sending a feedback loop through the ship's core. The chamber convulsed, alarms blaring in an alien tongue, and Specter roared, charging her. Before he could strike, a grappling line shot through the breach, snagging Elara's waist. Lila's voice crackled in her ear. Hold on, Voss. The line yanked her toward the skiff, Specter's blast missing by inches. Elara tumbled into the craft, collapsing beside Malik, who steadied her with a firm hand. Go! Elara gasped, and Lila gunned the engines, the skiff rocketing away as the alien ship's core flickered, its drones rebooting. Jin's datapad showed the IPIB fleet signals. Cruisers closing in, their weapons hot. But Elara's sigil still glowed, its connection to the architects unbroken, and Specter's voice echoed in her mind, a chilling promise. This isn't over, Voss. The architects see you now. The skiff streaked toward the fleet, but new alert flashed on Jin's datapad, a signal from the alien ship, broadcasting to the 12 infected systems. Elara's heart sank. They're activating the virus, she whispered, her voice grim. We just started a war. Chapter 14, Fire in the Void. The skiff shuddered as it docked with the IPIB cruiser Valiant. Its hull scorched through the walls from the alien drone's assault. Elara Voss slumped against the console in the skiff's rear, her helmet armrest pulsating with the architect's signal sigil. Its glow a constant reminder of the alien tether in her blood. Lila powered down the skiff. Her HUD flickered as she crashed to the floor, her ex-IPIB pilot's face etched with exhaustion. Elara Voss stood in the skiff's rear. Gene Park hunched over his HUD, clutching his cracked datapad. The screen its flashing with alarms, screaming alerts about the alien signal spreading to the 12 infected systems. Dr. Malik Adeyemi stood, leaning against the wall, his bandaged leg, his plasma cutter beside his console ready. The main facility's core reactor exploded, but Elara's capture marked the planet's descent into darkness, scarred by fire and ash spewing into the sky. The Valiant S hangar loomed outside, a fortress hive of activity as its crews prepared to face the looming threat, prep for the looming war. Elara forced herself up to stand, ignoring the pain in her shoulder. Gene, tell me you've got a plan to stop that signal, she said, her voice cracking hoarse but resolute firm. Jin's fingers danced flew over his HUD, the screens glowing with data. The alien signal is alien, piggybacked by aliens using the Gray Network's relays. NovaCorp's tech piggybacking on alien code. If we hit the primary relay in Clintar 7's orbit, we can slow the virus's spread activation. But he hesitated, his eyes flicking to Elara's glowing arm. Your sigil's linked to their network. It's our only shot to disrupt it. Lila's eyes narrowed. You're saying Voss has to play alien Wi-Fi? That's a death wish. No choice. Elara cut in, her grin grim. If those systems fall, billions die. I'm not sitting this one out. Her sigil burned hotter, as if the architects were listening, their present a shadow in her mind. The Valiant S command deck was a storm of controlled chaos, with Commander Amara Okoye at its heart. Her dark eyes locked onto Elara as the team entered, her voice sharp. Voss! You've stirred up a galactic hornet's nest. That alien ship's deploying more drones, and our scans show activity on those 12 systems. Talk. Elara met her gaze, unflinching. The architects want their virus back. They're using me as a conduit. My sigil's their leash. Jin's got a plan to hit their relay, but we need to move now. Amara's jaw tightened, but she nodded. We've got 3 cruisers and a fighter wing. The Valiant will lead the assault. Tran, Park, Adeyemi, support Voss. If we lose those systems, the Alliance collapses. As the team prepped, the Valiant launched into Clintar 7's orbit, its sensors screaming as a swarm of architect drones emerged from the alien ship's hull. The drones were sleek, their surfaces rippling with energy, their weapons firing beams that carved through IPIB fighters like paper. Lila piloted a strike craft, Gene and Malik aboard, weaving through the chaos to reach the relay, a massive, glowing structure tethered to Clintar 7's moon. Stay sharp, Lila shouted, dodging a drone's beam. Gene, how's that hack coming? Almost there. Gene yelled, his datapad linked to the relay's network. Elara, you need to sync your sigil now. Elara, strapped into the Valiant's tactical bay, pressed her glowing arm against the console, its interface jury-rigged to amplify her sigil. Pain seared through her, the architect's voice roaring in her mind. You defy us, Voss. Your worlds will crumble. She gritted her teeth, forcing the sigil's energy into the console, disrupting the relay signal. The drones faltered, their movement erratic, but the alien ship retaliated, its hull splitting to reveal a massive cannon charging with apocalyptic energy. Elara, it's working. Jin's voice crackled through comms. The virus signal dropping. 10 systems clear. 2 to go. But before Elara could respond, a new presence flooded the Valiant's sensors, a cloaked figure materializing on the command deck, his scarred face lit by the architect's glow. Specter, his body a hybrid of flesh and alien tech, raised a weapon pulsing with the same energy as the alien cannon. "You're too late, Voss," he snarled, his voice a chilling blend of human and machine. "The architects have chosen me to finish this." Amara drew her sidearm, but Specter's weapon fired, a beam pinning her against the wall. Elara lunged, tackling him, her sigil flaring as their energies clashed. The deck shook, the Valiant taking hits from the alien cannon, its shields buckling. Elara's vision blurred, her strength fading, but she held Specter down, her voice fierce. "You're nobody's chosen, traitor. You're just a pawn." Specter laughed, his eyes gleaming with alien light. "And you're their puppet. Look outside." Elara glanced at the view screen. The alien ship's cannon was fully charged, aimed at Clintar 7, its blast seconds from wiping out the planet and the IPIB fleet. Lila's strike craft was closing in on the relay. Jin's hack nearly complete, but time was running out. Elara's sigil burned brighter, its connection to the architect's network her only weapon. She slammed her arm against the console again, sending a final surge of energy, her voice a raw scream. "Shut it down, Jean!" The relay exploded in a burst of light, the virus signal collapsing, but the alien cannon fired, its beam tearing through space. Lila's craft veered, barely escaping, but the Valiant took a glancing hit, its hull groaning. Specter shoved Elara off, vanishing in a flash of alien energy, his voice echoing. "This is only the beginning." Elara collapsed, her sigil dimming, her body spent. Amara, freed from the beam, rushed to her side, her voice urgent. "Voss, stay with us." The view screen showed the alien ship retreating, its drone scattering, but Jin's datapad flashed a new alert, a faint signal from Clintar 7 surface, buried in the ruins of the core facility. Malik's voice crackled through comms. "It's Celine Kane. She's alive, and she's got something the architects want." Elara's eyes fluttered open, her voice a whisper. "Round 4, huh? Just my luck." The war wasn't over, and with Celine Kane back in play, the architect's next move was anyone's guess. Chapter 15, Relic of Ruin. Clintar 7's crimson skies churned with ash and static. The planet's surface a jagged scar of ruins from the core facility's collapse. Elara Voss stood at the Valiant's drop bay, her arm throbbing under the architect's sigil, its faint glow a beacon in the gloom. Her suit was patched, her shoulders still raw from Specter's attack, but her eyes burned with resolve. Lila Tran checked her pulse rifle beside her, her ex-IPIB training a quiet storm. Gene Park clutched his datapad, its screen mapping Celine Kane's signal in the wreckage below. Dr. Malik Adeyemi, his leg braced but steady, gripped his plasma cutter, his face set with grim determination. The IPIB fleet held orbit, battered but vigilant, as the threat of the architect's virus loomed over 12 systems. "Celine Kane's got something the architects want," Elara said, her voice steady. "If it's tied to the virus, we need it, before Specter does." Jin's datapad beeped, pinpointing Kane's signal in a buried lab. "It's deep," he said, his voice tense. Scans show an energy signature, alien, like the virus's core. Could be what's powering their network. Lila's dark eyes flicked to Elara's arm. "And your sigil's still linked to that network. You sure you're up for this, Voss? You're one spark away from burning out." Elara's grin was sharp. "I've been through worse. Let's not keep Kane waiting. She's probably cooking up something nasty." Her sigil pulsed, the architect's presence a whisper in her mind, urging her to submit. She ignored it, focusing on the mission. The team dropped to the surface in a stealth shuttle, landing amid the facility's smoldering remains. The air was thick with sulfur, the ground littered with twisted metal and drone husks. Jin's datapad guided them to a collapsed tunnel, its entrance sealed by debris. Malik sliced through with his cutter, sparks flying, and they descended into the dark, their HUDs casting faint beams. The tunnel opened into a hidden lab, its walls lined with pulsating conduits, architect tech, ancient and alive. At its center stood Celine Kane, her lab coat torn, her eyes wild but calculating. In her hands was a crystalline device, its surface etched with alien runes, glowing with the same energy as Elara's sigil. "Voss," Kane said, her voice a mix of awe and menace. "You're just in time to witness the endgame." Elara raised her plasma pistol, her voice cold. "Drop it, Kane. Whatever that thing is, it's not yours to play with." Kane laughed, a brittle sound. "This is the Architect's keystone, the heart of their pathogen. NovaCorp stole fragments, but I found the source. With it, I can control the virus or destroy it." Her eyes flicked to Elara's arm. "You're already part of it. Voss, you feel them, don't you?" Before Elara could respond, the lab shook, and Specter materialized from a ripple of alien energy, his hybrid form radiating menace. His weapon, a blade of fused human and architect tech, crackled with power. "The keystone is mine," he snarled, his voice a distorted echo. "The architects demand it, and you're in the way." Lila fired her rifle, but Specter deflected the shots with a wave of his blade, sending her crashing into a conduit. Malik charged, his cutter swinging, but Specter's speed was inhuman, his blade grazing Malik's arm, drawing blood. Jean dug behind a console, his datapad hacking the lab systems to disrupt Specter's connection to the architects. Elara faced Specter, her sigil flaring. "You're their lapdog now," she taunted, dodging a slash that carved a glowing scar on the floor. "Thought you were all about survival, not servitude." Specter's eyes burned with alien light. "Survival is power, Voss. The architects will reshape the galaxy, and I'll stand at their side." He lunged, his blade aimed at her heart. Elara rolled, her sigil sinking with the keystone's energy, sending a shockwave through the lab. Kane stumbled, the device slipping, and Elara caught it, its runes searing her palm. Pain flooded her, the architect's voice roaring. "You cannot wield our power, mortal." Her vision swam, the sigil threatening to consume her, but she channeled its energy into the keystone, forcing a feedback loop to weaken Specter. Jin's hack kicked in, the conduits dimming, and Specter staggered, his blade faltering. Lila recovered, tackling him, her knife finding his shoulder. Malik pinned his arm, his cutter humming, but Specter's power surged, throwing them back. Elara clutched the keystone, her body trembling, and slammed it into a console, its energy disrupting the architect's network. The lab convulsed, alarms blaring, and the virus's signals across the 12 systems flickered out, one by one. But the keystone cracked, its core unstable, and Kane's voice screamed, "You idiot, you've doomed us!" Specter roared, breaking free, and slashed at Elara, his blade grazing her side. Blood soaked her suit, and she fell, the keystone slipping from her grasp. Specter grabbed it, his form flickering as he vanished, the architect's signal pulling him away. Lila dragged Elara to her feet, her voice urgent. "We need to move, Voss." Malik and Jean cleared a path, but the lab was collapsing, conduits exploding in showers of sparks. The team stumbled into the shuttle, Elara's vision fading, her sigil dim but alive. As they lifted off, Jin's datapad flashed. The virus was dormant, but the architect's ship was powering up again, its core pulsing with renewed intent. Elara clutched her side, blood seeping through her fingers, and forced a grin. Kane's out, Specter's at the keystone, and we're still kicking. Not bad for a day's work. But her heart sank as Lila's HUD pinged, a signal from the architects, aimed at her sigil. "You have delayed us, Voss. Now we come for you." The shuttle streaked toward the Valiant, but the alien ship loomed in orbit, its silhouette a promise of reckoning. With Specter holding the keystone and the architects closing in, Elara knew the final battle was near, and it would cost everything. Chapter 16 stars unbound. The IPIB cruiser Valiant groaned under the strain of battle, its shields flaring as architect drones hammered its hull. Clintar, 7 hum below, a crimson wound in the void, while the architect's ship loomed in orbit, its obsidian form pulsing with apocalyptic intent. Elara Voss lay in the Valiant S-Med Bay, her side bandaged, her arm burning with the architect's sigil. The keystone was gone, stolen by Specter, and the virus's threats still linger across 12 systems. Lila Tran stood by her side, her pulse rifle slung, her ex-IPIB resolve unyielding. Gene Park monitored his datapad, tracking the architect's ship, while Dr. Malik Adeyemi prepped medkits, his wounded arm steady despite the chaos. Elara forced herself upright, ignoring Lila's protest. "We're out of time," she said, her voice raw. "Specter's got the keystone. If he uses it, those systems are done." Jin's datapad flashed, its datagram. The architect's ship is charging a pulse. Same energy as the keystone. It's aimed at the infected systems. If it fires, the virus activates fully, and he trailed off, his face pale. "Billions die," Malik finished, his deep voice grim. "Voss, your sigil's still linked to their network. Can you stop it?" Elara's grin was faint but fierce. "Only one way to find out." Her sigil pulsed, the architect's voice whispering. "Submit, Voss, or all you love will burn." She shoved the voice aside, staggering to the command deck. Commander Amaro Okoye met them, her face a mask of resolve. "The fleet's holding, but we're losing fighters. That ship's untouchable, unless you've got a miracle, Voss." "Working on it," Elara said, syncing her sigil with the Valiant S tactical console. Pain seared through her, but she pushed through, her energy disrupting the architect's network. The drones faltered, but the alien ship's pulse grew stronger, its core glowing like a dying star. Lila's strike craft launched, Gene and Malik aboard, targeting the architect's ship. "We'll draw their fire." Lila's voice crackled through comms. "Voss, dear thing." The craft weaved through drone swarms, its cannons blazing, but a massive beam from the alien ship grazed its wing, sending it spinning. "Hold on," Gene shouted, stabilizing craft as Malik fired back, downing a drone. Jin's datapad hacked the ship's outer defenses, exposing a weak point near its core. "Elara, the keystone's in there. Specter's using it to amplify the pulse." Elara's vision blurred, her sigil threatening to consume her. She channeled its energy into the console, sending a feedback loop through the architect's network. The alien ship shuddered, its pulse flickering, but Specter's voice echoed across all channels, a hybrid of human and alien malice. "You're too late, Voss. The keystone is mine and your worlds will kneel." A ripple of energy tore through the Valiant S deck. Specter, materializing in a blaze of alien light, the keystone glowing in his hand. His blade crackled, its edge aimed at Elara. "You should have joined us," he snarled, lunging. Elara dodged, her sigil flaring, and tackled him, their energies clashing in a storm of light. Amara fired her sidearm, but Specter's blade deflected the shots, slicing a console in half. Elara's strength faded, blood seeping from her wound, but she gripped the keystone, its runes burning her palm. "You're not a god," she gasped, "just a traitor with a fancy toy." She slammed the keystone into the console, her sigil sinking with its core. Pain consumed her, the architect's voice roaring. "You will break, mortal," but Elara held on, forcing the keystone's energy to overload, sending a surge through the alien ship, its core destabilized, drones falling silent, and the pulse collapsed, the virus's signals across the 12 systems going dark. Specter screamed, his form unraveling as the keystone shattered, its fragments glowing briefly before crumbling to dust. He lunged at Elara, but Lila's strike craft reached the alien ship's core, its cannons firing. Malik shot at Specter, his body dissolving in a flash of alien energy, his final words a whisper. "See you The architect's ship convulsed, its hull cracking, and Amara's voice cut through. All ships, pull back! The Valiant retreated as the alien ship imploded, a silent explosion swallowing its drones. Lila's craft barely escaped, docking with the Valiant as the fleet regrouped. Elara collapsed, her sigil dim, her body spent. Lila caught her voice fierce. Stay with us, Voss. Jin's datapad confirmed the virus was dormant. NovaCorp's relays destroyed, the gray network crippled. Malik bandaged Elara's wounds, his hand steady, while Amara coordinated the fleet's recovery. The view screen showed Clintar 7, scarred but silent, the architect's threat gone, for now. Elara's eyes fluttered open, her voice a whisper. Did we win? Lila's grin was wry. You tell me, hero. Virus down. Specter gone, NovaCorp toast. Not bad for a near-death experience. But Elara's sigil flickered, a faint pulse of alien energy lingering. The architect's final message echoed in her mind. Asterisk we withdraw, but we are eternal. Your worlds are marked. Asterisk she kept it to herself, meeting her team's eyes. Jin's quiet relief, Malik's steady calm, Lila's fierce loyalty. They'd save the galaxy, but at a cost. As the Valiant limped toward a lion space, a signal pinged from the ruins below. IPIB intel, buried in the facility's wreckage, hinting at other architect relics scattered across the stars. Elara forced a grin, her voice soft but unbroken. Guess we're not done yet. The virus was just the beginning. The architects are awake, and Specter is not done yet. If you want to know what happens next in Elara Voss's fight to save the stars, backhand index pointing right, like, subscribe, and hit the bell to join the next mission. Your next transmission begins soon.